On this channel, I always do my best to give you the latest insight into Amazon's hiring process, and for this video I prepared some nuggets from my latest piece of research that I just completed a few days ago. So basically what I did there was to index more than 20,000 anonymous applicant feedback gathered throughout the past 10 years or so, and for this video I prepared the top 5 most asked questions during the Amazon interview, and that's regardless the position that you might be applying for, well, maybe except the warehouse jobs where there's no job interview. And as you'll see next, most of these questions are behavioral. So on the 5th position, we have tell me about the time you failed and what you learned from it. And if you're subscribed to my channel, you already know that I dedicated the whole video especially on this topic with a precise example and with a few tips and tricks on how to better answer this one. And essentially the idea here is that as soon as you're done with talking about the specific failure story, you should quickly pivot to the main learnings from that story, simply because you want to put yourself in as good a position as possible and you want to showcase your strengths after all. Next, we have a team-related question. Tell me about the time you worked on a team project. And it's basically impossible not to get such a question, especially if you're applying to an AWS role, and this is simply because Amazon is such a large business, so they must put a lot of emphasis on working in a team. And also interesting to know here is that Amazon pioneered concepts such as two pizza teams that are also used in many other corporations today. And number 3 most asked question during the Amazon interview is also one that's closely linked with the most important of their 14 leadership principles, that is customer obsession. We all have to deal with difficult customers from time to time. Tell me about a challenging client-facing situation and how you dealt with it. And this question is not only asked for customer service roles, but also for software engineers, project managers, and even for field engineers. And this is something very specific to Amazon, and you won't hear this question at Facebook or at Google. And the second most asked question during the Amazon interview, and one that characterizes quite well the overall process, tell me about a situation where you had to solve a difficult problem. So problem solving in general, troubleshooting, is a much sought after skill that recruiters are testing candidates during the interview, and this is also linked with the fact that Amazon calls themselves a peculiar company. And this trend is also well highlighted in their leadership principles. Now, before getting to the most asked question during the Amazon interview, let me tell you about an interesting finding that I uncovered during my research, and that is from the 20,000 anonymous feedbacks that applicants provided throughout the years. Around half of these, of the ones that actually contain some relevant feedback to the interviewing process, referenced the leadership principles as being an essential part of the preparation during the interviewing process. So unlike for other companies where there are some principles and they are just there if you want to learn about them, Amazon is actually asking many people about these leadership principles during the interview, and it's not uncommon to be asked questions such as, tell me about what's your favorite leadership principle, or tell me how do you show ownership. And finally, the most asked question during the Amazon interview, and one that's getting asked as often as the other 4 combined, is why Amazon? So while this question can be quite revealing of someone's way of thinking, I find it as a great opportunity for someone to showcase their strengths, to focus their presentation on their strengths. And I will actually dedicate my next video to properly answering this question. So there you go. I hope you found this piece of information useful, and thank you very much for watching.